On his first trip to Paris, Andy McDermott is looking for a little danger.
Andy, what you doing?
I'll show you guys a stunt you'll never top.
But tonight,
Andy, this is madness. You're gonna get yourself killed.
there's nothing more dangerous than falling for the wrong girl.
No, don't!
Talk about the woman of my dreams.
She's obviously whacked. Kind of girl jumps off the Eiffel Tower, has issues, man. Major issues.
You mustn't get involved.
It's much too dangerous, believe me. You must go before it's too late.
I was attacked by this big, wild dog.
You were bitten. You're already changing.
It was not a dog. It was a werewolf. And now you have become one too.
I'm not a wolf!
An American Werewolf in Paris.
Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Ow.
Welcome, everybody, to They Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I'm joined, as always, by Tim Johnson, Josh Lambert.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah!
Somebody's fucking excited for this discussion tonight. I don't know. Fucking some ginger guy named Josh.
Fuck yeah, he is.
Fuck yeah, he is. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. So, you know what? We're just going to jump right the fuck into it because Josh is... I don't even need to ask how Josh is doing because he's fucking floating.
But you know what? I feel like we should, if you watched our last episode, you would see the revelation at the end
What a
of Josh's fucking controversial decision. But those who didn't, our last episode was An American Werewolf in London, which was, a horror masterpiece.
You do not get to fucking say that, Josh.
Yeah, you don't. So, Josh, we had an opportunity to fucking do a really cool rating. And Josh, I feel purposely, fuck that.
Fake news.
And no, it's not fake news if it's my feelings. My feelings aren't fake news.
And if it's exactly what fucking happened.
Yeah, I feel that Josh purposely... I rated it an X. Adam rated it an X. And Josh, who came second, could have rated an X. We could have had our first triple X rated horror movie rating. And given all the fucking lewd porn talk between Josh and Adam earlier in the episode, it just would have been a fitting end. It would have been perfect. The moons would have aligned. It would have been great.
It would have been perfect.
And Josh...
If they didn't produce a sequel that was more entertaining.
Yes, this was the revelation. Josh enjoyed American Werewolf in Paris, our topic for this evening from 1997. And without Adam even asking, I'm going to go directly into the fucking synopsis. It's not a long one like the last one. I'm going to keep it to the point. An American man unwittingly gets involved with a French nurse who is trying to kill herself, and you don't know why. And she's going to jump off the Eiffel Tower. And he is there with his two buddies on this, cross-country fucking extreme tour of doing all these, like, bungee jumps and extreme whatever. And they're up on the Eiffel Tower. They're going to jump off. They're going to jump off, but they hear someone coming. It's, this very distraught young lady about to jump. He jumps off to save her. He saves her. Didn't tie the cord. He comes up, bangs his head, wakes up in the hospital. Anyways, he becomes obsessed with her. But she has a dark secret, and she's living in a house that contains some secrets down in the basement. And I don't want to give too much away of this American Werewolf in Paris, but I think it's a werewolf.
Oh, gosh.
But anyways, just finish the last little part. There's been some developments in werewolf research. Yes. And they've developed a serum allowing them to transform at will.
Right?
They don't have to wait for a full moon, which, on paper, that sounds like an amazing fucking werewolf movie.
On paper.
But in reality... All right, let's just let Josh fucking talk. Let him talk. He's ready to go.
Go ahead, Josh.
What is film but magnetic paper, really?
Just go. Just do it.
What? This movie is everything I love in a horror movie. It follows all the same rules of the first one. It gives you all the same things, minus effects.
It really actually doesn't.
It's a product of its time. But it ups the cheese factor. And if there's anything I like, it's cheese.
Yeah, you do love cheese.
This ups the cheese factor by like a 10x multiplier, guys. Like, this takes the fucking corny jokes in the first one and just ramps it up to levels unheard of in a horror film.
So can I add one thing, though, Josh? You're full of shit with one thing.
What?
What is your real horror movie rule when it comes to the ending?
Yeah, you can't have a good ending. That's true.
This movie does have a fucking positive ending. So, right off the bat... Okay,
Josh is full of shit.
Josh is full of shit. But continue, Josh, continue.
The movie's not good. I never said it
yes,
was a better
did.
movie.
No, yes, you did.
No,
you said it was a masterpiece.
I said more entertaining. It is more entertaining. I'm entertained more by this film. I never said it's a better horror movie. Never in my life.
Because it isn't a horror movie comparison.
More entertaining. It entertained me more. What more can I say?
Actually, to be fair, Josh absolutely has a point. The first one has a very 1981 sensibility about how films were made. The pacing is a lot different than its sequel that was made in 1997.
Which is undebatably a worse film, but more entertaining. And what makes a film good? It has to be entertaining. That's why we watch films, to be entertained.
Correct.
It breaks all the rules. It doesn't make sense to me. It is arguably a worse film, but I enjoy it more than the original. Where does that leave us?
In this weird state of limbo, because I don't know how to respond to that. I don't.
Break it down. Break it down for me. I would love for you... Okay, this episode, I challenge you to lower my X rating to an R. That is what I challenge you. Convince me that this movie does not deserve the highest rating I've ever given.
Wow.
Convince me.
Okay, well, right off the bat...
This movie is entertaining.
Okay.
Well, right off the bat, it does break your rule.
We're getting off topic. We're not savages here. We have a structure to our narrative with this show. Let's abide by that narrative, and then after that will be what we wrap our show up with before Josh makes his decision.
All right.
Does that sound fair, guys?
That sounds excellent.
We're not savages.
Not savages. Follow the rules.
All right, fine.
All right.
Let's talk about the story.
You go first,
Story.
All right.
You go first.
So, right off the bat...
I'm kidding.
Uh,
I'm kidding. It's all you, buddy.
First off, same premise as the original. You get a couple of people traveling, except for this time they're in Paris.
So this time you go from 2 buddies to 3 buddies. They're on a Daredevil tour. They're going to Paris. One of them is going to absolutely break everybody's minds when it comes to the stunt that he has planned. And what is his stunt? He's going to bungee jump off the Eiffel Tower.
Whoa.
What?
Oh, we do know. We do find out. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, exactly. So, the movie does follow a lot of the same points as the original American Werewolf in London. So we have buddies backpacking, traveling, whatever the case may be. They're in a European country, and one of them gets killed, another one gets hospitalized, and this time they also threw into the mix a third friend who ends up being basically
just to take his shirt off.
Yeah, basically
he's a what did I call him? Fucking Walmart Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
He's a Walmart
Marky Mark.
Great value, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, basically. He's everybody's bitch in this movie. He's literally in this movie to be beaten up, to be captured, to be tortured, to be treated like shit, and for the most part, forgotten that he exists.
No, he's here to be shirtless.
He's there to be shirtless as well, and to discover certain things about, the werewolves, secret werewolves in this movie. The movie does follow a lot of the same beats with that. So he ends up in the hospital. He ends up smitten with this girl. She turns out to be some sort of a nurse, but that doesn't really play into the story, except for that's how he sees her again, is when she's leaving.
I don't think she's a nurse.
I don't really know. Like, it kind of makes it out almost like she is, though.
I think she just wears a nurse's uniform and sneaks in the hospital to steal hearts.
Yeah, because I think it established that her mom was the nurse.
Oh, okay. Well,
and
so she's no Nurse Price. Moving on.
Yeah.
No.
I think it was just kind of a little nod. Ooh, Josh is thirsty.
I'm just throwing it out there. She's way hotter.
Oh, she's very
and she's
hot.
French.
Yeah. She's really not that hot, guys.
Yes, in this movie she was hot.
Adam, this is really how it's gonna be.
And this is how it's gonna be, Josh. This is how it's gonna be. All right, so the big kicker with this movie is that we come to find out it's an entire cult of werewolves. So it isn't the guy transforming. And
why would you call it a cult and not a pack?
Fine, it's a fucking pack of
werewolves. They wear robes.
What the fuck? Oh, yeah, that's true.
There's ceremonies and everything.
Yeah, no, I get it. I take it back. I'm sorry, Adam. Sorry.
Of course, Adam's always wrong until he's right.
Hey, I just said I was sorry.
So,
what more do you want?
So far, we have the characters arguably more funny. This trio is fucking hysterical.
Arguably, yes, I would argue that.
Yeah. We have the female antagonist / protagonist, I guess, the nurse character, who she's hotter, and we have more werewolves instead of less werewolves. So far, this is chalking up to be a better movie, guys.
Okay, all right. Say what you will. Say what you will. I don't think that the friends are funnier in this movie. I think that
really?
I think that the dialogue with these characters is a little more forced and really tried too hard with the way that these characters acted.
Cheese.
Totally maximum cheese, but that doesn't make it a better dialogue by any means.
Yeah, but again, look when it came out.
Yeah.
And look at the other type of movies that were out at that time. American Pie. That kind of shit, you know what I mean? So that's the kind of humor that it felt like to me.
This felt like an American Pie movie if werewolves were in it.
It was like if Stifler became a fucking werewolf in Paris.
Right?
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
Right?
I'd watch that, he says. Okay, so then we actually have this cult of werewolves that appears, or pack of werewolves, whatever the fuck you want to call it. They have determined that, once again, they have figured out a way to convert themselves into werewolf form regardless of the moon via the serum. And on the side of that, this comes from an investigative and research component that was an attempt to make a cure to flatten the curve, as it would be, kind of convenient for the time that we're in right now. Flatten the curve to allow not the heightened situation.
Hey, it did say that, didn't it?
Yeah.
It did.
To avoid actually transitioning during the moon. So
Yes.
it would suppress the situation as well. So this was kind of like a byproduct of the situation, and they're using it to their advantage. They love Americans, apparently, and they hold regular raves and parties for Americans. Very, very weird. And basically just to murder and kill everybody is all it is. So they're trying
They're
to
easy to make disappear.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, just another American disappeared over in Paris. Whatever. He's probably going to end up drunk and in a ditch somewhere, and they'll find him 6 months later. They never do. In this case as well, they're basically looking to create a pure race, is what they basically determined. So these are kind of like Nazi werewolves too.
Yeah.
Really what it comes down to. So kind of like the Nazi werewolves that appear in American Werewolf in London, but a little bit.
Wow, it all comes full circle.
It all comes full circle, and Josh appreciates that. So yeah, so then it comes down to a fight for survival. What do we do? Do we stop the werewolf bloodline, or do we let it continue?
What do you guys feel about this series just completely throwing out the lore of werewolves? Like the old Silver Bullet.
You already... what do you mean? I had no problem with it, because that's what kind of set it apart as its own werewolf thing. Right?
Yeah, just anything will kill it. Just fucking shoot it with a normal bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was fine. Just shooting it with the normal bullet, that's fine.
But again, that might not necessarily kill it, because it has an exaggerated fucking healing factor. Right?
Yeah.
But a werewolf does not have to die via a silver bullet, is the case. So,
Lots of things.
No.
Lots of things. And Wolfman probably has nards, so. Okay.
Really?
What, I'm not allowed to throw out random shit like that? Come on.
No, Adam.
No, you're not.
You're the host.
Okay, so... Thanks. All right, so...
We do that shit. It's mine and Josh's job.
You're supposed to keep us on track, man.
Yeah, MC the shit.
All right, well, get the fuck on track then. Let's talk about the characters, Josh. You're so smitten with these fucking characters. Let's talk a little bit about these fucking characters.
You want to know? You want to know what's really weird about this episode?
What?
The roles are reversed.
Right?
Normally, it's not like this.
I know.
But me and Adam are like picking on Josh.
I mean, you're still picking on Adam, but more so on Josh.
No. I'm doing that out of like habit.
You guys are just
There's no heart in it.
ultra
There's no
lines.
heart with the teasing you tonight. It's the passion is aimed at fucking Josh.
Fuck.
All right.
Yeah, so the leader of the werewolf cult, this like badass motherfucker.
Claude.
Just grade A douchebag out there capturing Americans, feeding them to his werewolf boys, trying to breed up this like ultimate werewolf pact. And our main character accidentally gets werewolfized.
Werewolfized.
I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about with these characters? They're the same characters from the first movie, I think.
I
Like,
found
you have the nurse
that
character.
no. Well, I found Andy was different because Andy was a goof.
Yeah,
whereas-
he's a little goofier.
David in the first one wasn't necessarily a goof, but I don't know. I found that he was a goof, and a little funnier, and what was the nurse's name? Seraphine.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little different than the.
Well, she is a secret. She's a werewolf.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm going to be honest here. So Dave, in the first one, Dave is quite endearing. He's your atypical American, late teens, early 20s type of character. He's got love on the brain. He lost his best friend. He's trying to get his life back together. And And for all the reasons, he's a little bit of a general every Joe, is really what it comes down to. You know, he has some difficulty sometimes, you know, talking to people in a certain way. He makes up for it with jokes and laughter, and he's hitting on the women a certain way. Everything's about that. Tom Everett Scott's character in this, Andy,
extremely exaggerated.
It is an extremely exaggerated, bumbling fucking buffoon in this movie, in my opinion. It's really what it comes down to. You talk about upping the cheese factor. He takes everything that makes a character buffoonish and increases it, really. You know, he really has a difficult time, you know, with the ladies. He has no confidence whatsoever. He's accident prone like you wouldn't believe. So what would put the guy, Dave, in the hospital in the first one is a werewolf attack. In this one, it's because he's fucking doing dumb shit. You know what I mean? Like, everything about this character is Dave but stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, you like The Simpsons? Homer's a fucking clown.
Yeah.
He's still funny.
Yes. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Not
Not exactly. Yeah. So then you got his friends, and you got, okay, so right off the bat as well, you've got Brad. Brad is his friend who dies. And
spoilers,
and comes as the Jack type character from the first one. So he's the one who's visiting his friend, saying, "Hey, you've got to fucking, you know, deal with this." But in this case, they also take the whole idea of the first movie with the bloodline having to be severed, and they throw that out the fucking window. So right off the bat, as a sequel, they're changing the rules, which
not a fan.
Not a fan of it. That's right. So there's a strike against it. That's got to go. That's got to take it down a bit. Okay. It's destroyed 2 of your rules already, Josh.
Did you also notice that Andy wasn't necessarily freaked out when he saw Brad, like Dave was in the first one?
He had already been hallucinating at that point, though.
Suppose.
Yeah. So his friend appears and tells him that the only way to lift the curse, he needs him, because the only way to lift the curse is to kill the actual werewolf that killed you.
Yeah.
So
where do these ghouls get all this information? Is there like an orientation?
Probably when they arrive in Limbo.
Just you get in there in hell and it's like the Beetlejuice scene.
Yeah.
Just like, welcome to hell. You're undead now.
Little video
the
starts
only way you're
playing.
not going to be undead is you got to go kill the werewolf that killed you.
Yeah. And then they get pushed back up to, you know, the plains. Yeah. So that happens, but unfortunately he starts to meet at that same time, roughly, he starts to meet other victims that he is, you know, killed, basically. What was that girl's name? Kim or Amy? Amy.
Print skirt.
Yeah.
Oh, Amy Finch, played by Julie Bowden.
Yeah. So Amy Finch. So she's a little bit dumber to the situation, because somehow his friend Brad finds out that this is what needs to be done, but she's just like, "What are you talking about?" She's just.
I fucking loved her as a ghoul. Loved her as a ghoul. Hey, he's over here. She tries to whistle. Her fucking eyeball pops
out. Oh, that alone is worth giving this film the highest rating.
You're fucking. That's ridiculousness.
You're talking crazy talk, Josh.
All right.
So we got a couple of ghouls that appear in this movie, not just in one simple scene. Like in American Werewolf in London, they appear in the porno theater near the end to basically say, "Come on, Dave, you really need to end your life, you know, and stop this." Whereas in this one, they become more of a haunting character that follows him around like Jack did in the first movie, but now it's Brad and Amy are following him around. And they both have differences of what needs to go on, because he killed Amy, so she wants him to die. But yet Brad says, no, he can't die yet, because he needs to kill this motherfucker for me first.
Right.
And the thought the entire movie is, it's Seraphine. So he needs to somehow kill this girl that he's smitten over. Okay.
It's tragic.
It's tragic. It's supposed to be. It's attempting to set up a tragic notion, almost as if love is lost, as what would be the first movie as well.
Right.
Once again, his other friend, the fucking Walmart Mark Wahlberg. I was gonna say Donnie Wahlberg, who's almost a fucking Walmart Mark Wahlberg to begin with.
Hey, you don't fucking put down Donnie
Don't talk
Wahlberg.
shit about
okay?
Donnie.
He was in New Kids on the fucking Block, bitch.
He was hanging tough.
He was fucking hanging tough. Phil Buckman is his real name, and in the movie, his name was Chris.
And in the movie, his name was Chris. And he was almost a throwaway character to me. I felt like they just wanted to put another character in there to kind of up the ante yet again. We're going to have more cheese, more bullshit, more this, more that. Let's add another friend, because more is better, apparently. And he ends up, even though he kind of finds out certain things, he just becomes fucking useless at one point, in my opinion. I think that if you were to remove his major scenes, you would almost be able to continue the storyline without it.
Yeah.
Like, almost entirely, the storyline does not depend on him.
Sure.
That doesn't make him any more or less important.
It 100% makes him less important.
His fucking him being there made the movie better.
I'll tell you the best scene in the entire movie for me.
Okay.
Was when the fucking shirtless Walmart Marky Mark
Chris is his name.
Chris is tied to the fucking cross, and he exits the church at the end.
Yes.
Like Jesus.
And like Jesus, and the one cop goes, "Oh!"
That was great.
I was like, okay, that's like the fucking redeeming scene in this movie. Was just the one look of it, slow motion. Here comes the fucking shirtless Jesus.
Well, it's funny. Earlier in the movie, when he's Seraphine dupes him and fucking locks him in the cage, he goes down to save her, and he ends up getting locked in the cage. Like, there was one point when me and Anthony were watching it, and I just blurted out, he looks around, literally looks around, and I go, well, no one's here. Guess I'll take off all my clothes. And Anthony's like, what is he doing? And I go, you'll see. And it made sense, but at the time when I said it, he's like, oh, go take off my clothes now. No one's here.
Which does lead us to probably the best practical effects, and I think maybe even the only practical effects.
Very
the
minimal.
father werewolf.
Very
I
minimal.
really like that. I don't know about you guys, but
Okay.
Well, okay, so we talked about the characters. We might as well just move into fucking special effects.
he's a character.
But
A mixture.
you see the Sedway.
Okay.
I think what?
No, I'm just saying. Okay. Yep.
Yes, the practical effects in that movie were very limited. That creature effect was pretty good, but I almost feel like it was probably enhanced with CG.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. It looked pretty practical to me because it was pretty static. I don't think like the face
You
really
look
moved.
pretty practical to me.
I am.
It was definitely a mixture. It was definitely a
Probably.
mixture because, like, when he first pulls it back and the fucking werewolf lunges at him, pure fucking CGI. But some of the scenes where it's like on the ground crawling and dragging the bed, there was a man in a fucking suit, you know what I mean, doing some of that stuff. So there's no doubt about it. But this reveal of the full werewolf, like, this is one of the first times in the movie that you see, like, a genuinely fucking, you know, good view of a werewolf. But what did they do? Once again, they took a piss on the fucking original and they changed the entire design.
Yeah, that's the biggest fucking kick in the fucking nuts for me. Was the design in the first movie was perfect. It was perfect. How crazy the fucking werewolf looked, and like the expression emoting from its fucking face, like it was perfect. It was what you would think a werewolf would look like. And with these ones, their fur was shorter. They got shorter snout. They looked almost like fucking mutated pit bulls.
Yeah, they had like male pattern baldness for their fucking hair.
Yeah,
like it was very
fucking
thin.
Dumb. Fucking lame, Josh.
No, I
Lame.
agree. I can't even pretend on that. The effects of the actual wolves, when you see them, you see too much of them because they don't look good.
Well, there was
if
one
they
scene.
kept them in the shadows.
There was one scene down in the when they go underneath near the end when they were underneath the church, and the Seraphine werewolf is wrestling with another one of the werewolves, and they're tumbling around, and in that low light, I thought that looked great.
Right.
right?
It's when they
And,
fully illuminated it and said, "Look at the effects work we did. Look at this werewolf." And it's like, yeah, that doesn't hold up.
it looks fucking lame. Well,
Yeah.
didn't you say, Adam, that even back in '97 when you saw this, you thought they looked bad? See, I was just happy that I was seeing a horror movie in theaters back in '97, so
Yeah.
I wasn't angry. But I was angry the other day when I watched it.
Yeah, I think back in '97 I was probably along the same. I was like, you know, this movie's not too bad, but the werewolves, I was like, you know, because I had a love for the original movie and the effects work, and this kind of really took a piss on it. You know, kind of coming back to what you had said about when they were tumbling around, the two of them fighting in the dark. When I was watching this the other day, they stood out like a sore fucking thumb. Like they seemed too light to me. They didn't really.
Yeah. They didn't match the fucking.
They didn't match the fucking
the
darkness
rest
at
of the
all.
room. But there was one practical shot that they did where I think someone was in this well illuminated fucking tunnel, and he looks, and there's another tunnel, and the eyes are glowing.
Yes.
That's my favorite scene in the whole movie, because
Very
you
good.
guys know what I feel about fucking glowing eyes in the dark. But how it was done, you could absolutely tell that was in real space, and someone was fucking doing something with those fucking eyes.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't have enough budget, or they were just trying to do what's trendy at the time and go more CG. I don't know what the reason was.
I wish that they would have did half and half, because there's absolutely some shots that I feel, especially in '97, that they wouldn't have been able to do practically. They could have, right? They could have found a way, because I mean, back in '81, they made a guy turn into a werewolf in front of your eyes. I just think that they relied too heavily on CG. But that's still no excuse, because Jurassic Park came out in '93, and those fucking special effects still hold up.
There's still some of the greatest looking fucking
Steven
dinosaurs
Spielberg's
ever.
budget and this guy's budget, I think, are a little different.
True.
Jurassic Park is the fucking
It
cinematic.
totally
masterpiece.
reminded me of Dr. Hibbert from The Simpsons there.
Well, Homer.
Uh,
All right, so shitty fucking CGI. It doesn't match up in a lot of ways. The way that the werewolves move is weird, and the fight scenes and all that kind of shit. It got to the point where there was way too much werewolf. In a lot of cases, less is more, especially when it comes to horror. Right? If I would have seen what was that, Josh? What?
Isn't this a werewolf movie?
Yes,
Don't we watch werewolf movies to see werewolves?
we do, but
If they were physical effect werewolves and there was 100 of them on screen, we'd be saying, "Holy fuck, this is insane!"
and it would have been great. It would have been
Right.
great, but
So it's not the fault that there was too many werewolves. It's the fact that they look
No.
fucking dopey
No.
because it was lame effects.
I said we're seeing too much, and with the shit effects that they were using, we saw too much.
Yeah, I feel like if they would have they made the decision to go full CG. There's a very artistic way of making your CG look better, lit in shadows.
Yeah,
that
You know what
did
I
not
mean?
have
or
access
quick
to.
shots.
They didn't have access to shadows, Josh.
Everybody knows shadows weren't invented until 1993.
By John Shadow.
Oh, man. Well, it's a good thing this movie came out in 1997 then, Josh. You know.
2003.
2003, there you go.
Hi everybody, this is Vincent DeSanti, the writer and director of Friday the 13th fan film Never Hike Alone, and you are listening to the great commentary of They Cast from the Coast. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to check out Never Hike Alone, which is streaming for free on YouTube right now.
All right, so I don't know. I mean, we've pissed on this movie quite a bit.
No, we haven't. We haven't at all.
I'm
been
still
very
convinced this movie is
Okay.
better.
I'm gonna give you this much. Practical effects. What they did for practical effects worked. Aside
Yes.
from the werewolves, because the werewolf, it was a shitty design, but the practical version of it that appeared looked good for what it was. 10 fucking million times better than the CGI. The
Yeah.
ghoul makeups for the friend and for her didn't look that great.
They didn't look as good as the original ones.
No, they didn't by any means.
The original, he looked pretty green, bud. Like he wasn't.
Oh, at one point he was decomposing enough that he turns greenish. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But-
what
I
of
didn't
it?
like that.
Whatever.
But I liked when he was in the theater and his eyeball was like flopping around.
Yeah,
in
and
the
he
little
was
skull.
green- he was
That was really
greenish.
great effects.
So
Yeah.
you know, but at least they had practical. It would have pissed me off a
Yeah.
lot more if they had kind of done a little bit CGI enhancement on them. And the only thing that was truly CGI enhancement was when she fucking loses her eyeball. At first, it pops out of her head, but then afterwards she's holding it, and it was practical at that point, so it was okay. So, Tim, do you have any trivia for this fucking movie?
I've got a bunch.
Go ahead, Tim. Just
So, Seraphine, Julie Delpy, I probably butchered her last name, admits that the only reason that she made this film was to pay her rent.
and she probably
So-
didn't pay it. Very
So,
well.
a little-known director, John Landis, was the original choice to direct this sequel. This movie was in development for 6 fucking years.
That's always a
And
good sign.
John Landis also wrote one of the many screenplays considered, but he didn't get picked. I don't know why. In a scene that was deleted from the movie, it's discovered that a werewolf society has been around for centuries, and that the werewolf that attacked David Kessler and Jack Goodman in American Werewolf in London was once a member.
Huh.
So that would have been a
How
nice.
do you feel about that?
It would have been
That's
nice,
interesting.
but they probably
Would've
took it
been cool.
out because it would have pissed all over the fact that they were pissing all over the rules of the movie anyway.
So, yeah, in case you guys didn't know, this is a sequel to American Werewolf in London.
What's American
That was
Werewolf in
released
London?
16 years after the original film. So it took them 16 years to fucking make a remake or a sequel.
It doesn't
Julie
show
Bowden,
in the special effects either.
I know. Julie Bowden commented on the makeup. She'd go to work at 3:30 in the morning for a 9 o'clock call. The makeup guys were very funny and very sympathetic, and there were times when you were sitting in the chair and you're fine, and then all of a sudden you have an attack of, oh my god, I can't sit here for another minute, and you have to jump around. Wearing nearly opaque contact lenses, you're just praying that you're going to hit your mark and say your line at the right time. It's definitely a challenge. Oh, stop complaining. You're fucking at a horror movie.
She had to pay her rent, man.
Chris, Phil Buckman, didn't like wearing that fucking Daredevil tour jacket. It was his idea to leave it in the cell in the basement.
He took off his clothes.
The director was the subway driver that's killed by the werewolf. Andy did all of his own stunts,
Look
which
at
is
him.
pretty cool. The animatronic and prosthetic effects were created by Magicon and Crawley Creatures. Joachim Granger and Ches Harris were the animatronic and prosthetic effects supervisors. And they sculpted and applied all the undead makeup for Vince Ver and Julie Bowden. And despite poor reviews, this film has gained a strong cult following after all these years. And that's all I got to fucking say about that.
Josh, just
Yes, sir.
get your fucking notes over with.
All right. These will give you my notes. I think I might have actually seen American Werewolf in Paris before I saw American Werewolf in London. I remember them both being on the same bootleg VHS tape, and I don't remember what order they were in. So that might have influenced which one I like more.
Okay.
Just saying. To put things into perspective, this viewing took place March 26th, 2020 at 8:29 a.m. So we're bright in the day. American Werewolf in Paris. My first note is, why was he in the sewer to begin with? Just a little food for thought. You would think there's no way you could go up to the top of the Eiffel Tower. Surely they have guards. Well, they do, and I'm here to tell you they're a bunch of little bitches. You can literally just walk right by them. There's all these signs that say no touching the tower, and I just walked right by the guard, immediately touched the tower, and he didn't even say it.
Wow. You're fucking
Just
badass, Josh.
Right? And I looked at him, I said, yeah, I'm in your country touching your monuments. What you gonna do about it? Wow. Slow-mo bungee is the beginning of the mega cheese. There was a moment where they slowed down the already slow-mo bungee scene.
Yep.
Now he has a Cinderella situation. He's infatuated with this woman, and he only just met her, and now he has his shoe.
Yeah, but when he dove off, that was kind of dope.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Yeah. Sure was. That's the epitome of 90s extreme sports, man. Bungee jumping is cool at the time, Adam. She stole my heart. Quote. Man, the cheese is real. Dialogue is so bad. It really was poorly delivered at every point, which made me enjoy it even. Quote, 100 points if you boinker. It's lines like this, Adam. Lines like this. He's blowing Jimmy's up in a restaurant, in a fancy restaurant in Paris. How can you not like this? He's chewing on condoms. He's blowing them into balloons. She looks at him, she goes, blow me a big one. It's customary in Paris. And he does. Obligatory, half-naked, ripped guy. It's unfortunate that the werewolf effects are CGI. But we got Wolf-O-Vision, something we didn't get in the first one. Wolf-O-Vision is new to the sequel.
There was Wolf-Vision in the first one.
Of the wolf. Not to this level. We get full-on Wolf-O-Vision with this weird kind of yellowy.
Oh, you
UV
mean like Predator?
Light detection.
Yeah. Okay.
Wolf-O-Vision. The man in the dog costume's pants just fell down. I doubt this was intended. It was not part of the scene. When he's running away, if you notice, his arse just falls right out of his little dog costume. Comical. The Firewolf is the worst CGI in this film. ... I hope. There's a scene where a bunch of fire illuminates right on the old werewolf. I get you are a werewolf, but you can still clean your blender. She's making these smoothies. She's got blood splatter all over her kitchen. Fucking degenerate. Quote, because I hate Clamato. End quote.
Yep. That he does.
Quote, this will relax you, no, as she grabs her hands and sticks them on her tits. Comical. I wrote, bosh, ha 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 ha, best dream sequence ever. What the fuck? The fucking pipe. Someone decided that was necessary. I don't remember what that's about. Do you remember? There being an unnecessary pipe? No? Okay. The leopard print skirt gets him going. Comical. Quote, Garcon. End quote.
Yep, Garcon.
Yeah. So the rules are the undead are released when the werewolf that is killed dies. How come the buddy from Werewolf in London wasn't released when his werewolf died? They broke the rules, bro.
They pissed on it.
They did. Man, this unnecessary self-monologuing. It's real. Guy can't rest in pieces over here. Quote. The ghosts are very Frightener style. So speaking of Buddy's birthday today from Frighteners, I got a very Frighteners vibe from these ghosts. I don't know which came first, but they were very much in lieu of that.
Yep.
Rocking the shaved brow line 30 years before its time. True fact.
Claude.
Claude is a massive cockblock. Zombie whistle scene. Hey, if you don't like this scene, you are a bad person. Period. Paris traffic really is that crazy. We got in a cab in Paris, and there's 3 lines of traffic. In a normal world, you would think, there's 3 lines, so there's 3 rows. They make 2 rows their own. Like, there's 5 lanes of traffic going on 3 roads. And then bikes and scooters are going in between you. It's fucking pandemonium. What's the deal with the mortal bodyguard guy? Is he just like a big dick, or do they pay him a lot of money, or what? This guy that just like locks in all the other humans, and he just sits out on his forklift waiting?
I always assumed that
you
he
think
was
he's
just
a
a werewolf.
Too?
How
come he's not in there?
That's what I thought this time.
Yeah, I think he's just a normal dude that they pay him, or he just is a dick.
Like one of those familiars type of things that they usually have in like a...
Right. Like a Dracula's servant type deal.
Yeah.
The level of incompetence shown by the French police here is pretty bad. He shot the wrong wolf. Why did he change prior to death? Why did she change prior to death? Yeah, did you notice that?
Yeah.
He shot her and then she turned mortal.
Mm-hmm.
Broke the rules.
But she didn't she have fucking that shit in her that allowed her to change at will?
Right.
Maybe it wore off because it wasn't during a full moon. It was changed her. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I think we're trying to make excuses for poor lady. Poor lady dropped all of her oranges. Who needs that many oranges anyways? There's like 20 oranges on the ground. That's way too many oranges. Worst werewolf transition is on the train.
It's terrible.
Oh, where he's right. His face. Yeah.
It ends with a werewolf in America. Unfortunately, it is an empirically worse film than the original in almost every way, but I still like it more. Is there something wrong with me?
Yes. We have answered this. Yes!
I'm broken, I guess. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm broken.
Okay.
I enjoy this film considerably more than the first one. It has a lot of flaws, and there's a lot of stupid, and it breaks some of the core rules I have for horror films. But I still like it more.
That's a lot to digest, Josh.
Really is.
It's terrible. So with that, we're going to have to give our final thoughts, and I'm going to go first. First off, we've said this many times already tonight, this movie takes everything that makes American Werewolf in London, but makes that movie great and pisses on it. Gives no real effort to create a proper sequel, even though we waited 16 years for something to appear on screen. The writing is lazy, the effects are shit and terrible, the acting is cheesy, and for the most part the writing, that obviously the dialogue that they have is bullshit. The movie has maybe 2 or 3 scenes that actually made me kind of chuckle, that's about it. And I feel that this movie tried too fucking hard to be edgy. It is, unfortunately, as we were talking about before, this is one of those movies that is a product of its time, but not in a good way. It doesn't take the 90s and say, this is what made the 90s fucking good for movies. It literally took everything that was wrong with 90s movies and fucking exploded on the screen. It was stupid that way. I remember seeing this movie in theaters and thinking to myself, this isn't so bad. Except for the fucking werewolves. They were fucking terrible then. Even at the time, brand new, watching this movie in theaters, I remember thinking to myself, what kind of bullshit is this? But at the time as well, the movies that were being produced, it basically fit. Tim, you had this perfect. It fit like every other movie in the late 90s, you know, in the way that they were. The American Pie series, and, you know, everything was Sum 41 and fucking Blink 182 and fucking American Pie. You know what I mean? Music and movies. The only thing I really have a soft spot for with this movie is the fact that Bush was on the soundtrack and did a great song for the movie. Because I remember when that came out, I fucking bought that album right off the bat and played the shit out of it.
Fuck Bush.
Fuck Bush. All right. But unfortunately, this movie fails on almost every level for me. There's nothing that entirely redeems this movie for me, because the more and more that they push this movie into being a comedic spree, it took away from anything horror based for this movie for me. It tried to take one of the most pinnacle horror movies and its storylines, it pissed it all away, and made literally a comedy with werewolves thrown in there for fucking luck. I don't consider this movie a horror movie by any means. I don't consider it to be anything that's really worth my time. And to be honest, I think that I just watched this movie for the fucking last time.
Wow.
Whoa.
This movie will...
That was such a moment, Adam.
This movie will probably never grace the fucking TV screen in my house again. And not by my purposeful putting it on by any means. There will be a day...
You got a real hate on for this movie.
There will be a day when my son says, "Dad, what's that American Werewolf in Paris like?" And I'll say, "If you watch that, I'm fucking leaving."
I'm going to get smokes and not coming back.
I'm going to get smokes and not coming back. That was 2 years ago. I really do have a hatred for this movie because of everything that it is. It tried too hard. I've already said this many, many times. This movie gets the golden seal from me. The brown seal.
You rating this S for shit?
I am rating this movie S for shit!
You guys are being silly.
And with that, I hand it over to Tim.
Ooh. Okay, so out of most of the movies, when I get a chance to recommend movies, they're movies that I've seen before, or always wanted to see, and I remember them with, as you guys like to put it, rose-colored glasses. Mm-hmm. And this was one of those movies that I remember liking when I saw it in theaters. I thought it was fun, and I didn't have a full, passionate love for the original 81 London at that time. Like, I saw it and I liked it, but there was no love for it. So over the years, I've watched London, I don't know how many times. And like I said, every time I'm just fascinated by how well it fucking aged, and the special effects still hold up. And we're talking like 35 plus years, almost 40 years now. Yeah, next year will be 40 years. So, going into, recommending the second one, oh my God. The movie had very mediocre comedy. Like it like I said earlier, it was very part and parcel of the times of that late 90s American Pie kind of style comedy. There's no scares.
100 points if you boinker, Tim. 100 points if you boinker.
Just hold on. You'll have your time. This is Tim's time. So there's absolutely no decent scares at all. There's nothing creepy about this movie. Even the fucking eyes in the tunnel, like I was saying earlier, weren't creepy. They were just happened to be the coolest effect that was in this film. The script's a fucking mess. The script is a mess. It was very tight at the start. If you notice, the first half of the movie, it was pretty tight. They had a story They were going along with the story. At points, it was very much beat for beat with an American Werewolf in London. And then the second half, it just went stupid. The original that had absolutely landmark award-winning special effects. That's a lot to live up to with a fucking sequel of the same name. Oh, fuck it. Let's just make all the effects CG. Like, you would scrap everything that was fucking amazing about the original, slap this fucking shitty name on it, and make a movie that had absolutely no heart and soul whatsoever. There was no heart and soul to this movie whatsoever. It was very much, let's cash in on how great the original was. I think the funniest thing about this movie was the CG fucking werewolves. That was the comedy of this movie, was how bad those fucking werewolves were. Now, one scene that I did like was when Seraphine was looking up in the moon and she fucking turns and all that. That's kind of an iconic scene for this, because I remember seeing it in the trailer and shit, and her eyes turn yellow and stuff. I think the people that fucking made this should go back to film school and learn how to fucking make a good movie. Because it was fucking garbage. It was garbage. Like, there's nothing good. There's nothing good. There's nothing really redeemable about this movie at all. At all. And with that, I rated S for shit.
Fuck.
Nice.
You guys are both rating it S for shit.
Yeah.
And you're gonna ruin this
Wow.
fucking triple S rating, aren't you, Josh?
Yeah.
There's no way I can possibly humanly rate it S for shit.
Okay.
There's not even a minuscule possibility of that happening.
So before you give your rating, Josh, I need you to keep in mind, a few things here.
Yeah.
You asked us how we could bring you down from an X.
I know.
Yeah, just
You admitted some stuff right off the bat, and we fucking
did.
kept on it. You can't rate this X for just your own fucking rules.
Yes. Okay. Take this into consideration, Josh. Okay. Take this into consideration. You're a horror movie fan, yes?
Yeah.
And you are one of the biggest advocates of original horror movies, are you not? Hey, do you remember the argument we got into about
I am a purist. Yeah, there's something to be said for that.
Okay, so this movie that you're going to rate very highly is everything that you hate about fucking horror movies. Here's what they do. No, let me finish my point. Let me. I want to try to at least downgrade it. Okay. The leading man is a horrible actor. Yeah. I'm sorry. He was a horrible actor. Seraphine was okay, but what made her seem better than what she was her accent. Right? That made her seem better. The effects were god-awful. There was very minimal gore.
Yep.
The script is all over the place. There's nothing good about this movie. At least you can say with the movies that I shit on, if I had to pick between the two It's, and I would go with the newer one over the older one. At least the older one had a heart. There was love that went into this. There was no love with this, Josh. How can you support this movie? With your high-ass rating.
It's entertaining, though. It's entertaining as fuck.
That doesn't fucking... There's lots of shit that's entertaining.
Yeah. I think Adams really hit the point home where they're breaking my core values of horror movies.
Yeah.
That's where you can't... But then when you say the purest thing, I think Evil Dead 2, which is the best Evil Dead.
Yeah, and it was made with love by the same people that made the original. Evil Dead 2 doesn't count in that analogy. It doesn't. Honestly, it doesn't, because Sam Raimi came back and is like, hey, I want to make this movie better because I actually have money now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? He's remaking his own movie. That doesn't count.
I suppose.
No, it doesn't count. It's supposed to. It doesn't count. He remade his own movie. If someone else made Evil Dead 2, I guarantee you'd have a different opinion about it. You'd still probably like it, but you'd have a different opinion.
Okay. Now I'm really curious to hear the rest of what you have to say, Josh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fuck, that's tough. Yeah.
It's just gonna be a dick and X. Boom. Ends up.
X go give it to you.
Credit. Yeah, fuck, this is really tough, honestly. Like, I definitely recommend this movie at the very minimum. I think it's better to sit and watch and have a goof with a fucking shitty B movie than the original. The effects are worse. The acting is worse. The line delivery is worse. The humor, I think, is better, but that comes from the fact that it's cheesy as fuck. But I get the same enjoyment out of this as watching something stupid like fucking Man with the Screaming Brain or Alien Invasion, just a shitty, cheesy B movie. But again, the core values of horror, you gotta stick to those rules. If you're gonna establish rules, if you're gonna be a sequel, don't retcon shit. Nothing pisses me off more than trying to wrap my head around the universe of a film and then you change the fucking rules on me. And that reason almost alone, I'm gonna rate it an R.
We won.
So you got there. But I want you to know that this is still a more entertaining film than the original, and I will watch this film many times over again, and I might watch it more now that I know Adam's never going to watch it again. Every time I'm going to watch it, I say, you know what? I'm going to watch that
Send
again.
a picture to him.
Back to back. Double viewing.
Fucking selfie with it playing in the background every time.
On two monitors. I'll have it on two screens, watching it simultaneously to make sure that view that Adam refuses to give is given. And I think both of you are full of baloney giving this an S rating. Your baloney's unnecessary mean to this movie. There.
This movie hurt my feelings when I watched it. It hurt my heart because of how amazing the first one was.
Well, here's the thing.
The first one had great effects. Let's not get fucking silly.
Okay. But
It was still made with love. This fucking John Landis wrote it when he was 16.
So I'd like to point out one thing that really differentiates a good cheesy movie from this.
What?
If you take a movie, I have an absolute love for things produced by, like, say, Troma and Full Moon Pictures.
Oh my god!
Because
some of the
when they
cheesy Troma movies
some
that
of
are
the
amazing,
cheesiest are the fucking best. But they make them that way on purpose. They make them
And
that
they're
they're
made
not.
with love.
They're made with love, and they're made not to be taken seriously. But when you take a movie like American Werewolf in Paris that was touted as being a serious horror film for its time,
fuck off.
Nothing
about this film was touted as serious.
It was at the time. They were like, "This is the scariest fucking movie." Blah 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 blah. No, this movie was made to be taken serious.
I'd actually watch Suspiria over this.
Fuck right off. Really?
Yeah.
But that movie's just boring.
I feel like I've won.
I'd watch. I would watch Suspiria before I watch this ever again.
Why?
Because Suspiria is a good fucking movie, and this is not.
But it's boring.
Suspiria
this
is pretty
is
boring.
entertaining.
No.
Yeah, but
I think the horse
the
is dead.
no-legged fucking werewolf dad.
Shit,
when he gets away from him, he climbs up over the door and just hops over him. Like, tell me you weren't laughing during these scenes.
No.
What's wrong with people?
I was laughing, but not
You
because
have no soul?
How stupid it was.
Right! Because it wasn't meant to be taken seriously. No one who wrote that said, okay, the shirtless guy's going to climb up on the doorknob, jump over the legless werewolf. No one was thinking, fuck, this is a cinematic masterpiece right now.
Do you want to know why I hate this movie? Because it's called American Werewolf in Paris. If this was just a Werewolf in Paris movie, if this had no fucking ties to the original fucking content, I probably wouldn't shit on it and be that fucking mad at it. I told you, it hurt my feelings watching it. And for like my 13-year-old son who's never seen it and just watched the original, who also said, hey, you know, it drags at certain points, but, you know, the original was entertaining too. Sorry to say. And this was just...
I don't know. This is like a dumpster fire. Yeah, I just couldn't look away. I'm just laughing the whole fucking time it's happening.
Like, fucking... The Terrorizer was better... Or Terrifier was better than this.
The Shit Bandit.
With the Shit Bandit and stuff. And that was cheesy fucking horror.
I rated that R as well, didn't I?
So this movie would have been better if it had one of the werewolves like shitting on a bathroom wall.
You would have got an X, 100%. 100%. If there's a deleted scene out there somewhere of a werewolf just shitting and fucking throwing its feces, or some sort of poop joke, pissing on a fire hydrant, you would have had me.
I literally had to fucking facepalm when they were lifting up the dead dog.
I was just gonna say that, and it's he fucked the dog.
Yeah,
but not only did he fuck the dog, it was like the worst looking dog prop I've almost ever seen in a movie. He picked it up and it's like fucking hinge. Legs all out.
You could see the hinge of one of the fucking legs moving. Yeah.
You'll for multiple things. It's like what?
I don't know. I think I've convinced myself almost that I couldn't give this an X rating, but I'll give you guys the win.
Shit.
I can't rate it an X.
All right, fine.
I'll give it an R though. I'll say, go fucking watch this movie. Don't listen to these couple of baloney fucking clowns. Go watch this movie and enjoy it because you'll laugh because it's fucking funny. There's fucking legless werewolves. Don't get too serious.
You keep bringing that up, and you're making
He's
it sound
my favorite
like
character in the movie, Tim.
You keep making it sound like we have no soul, but like one of my favorite fucking movies of all time is like one of the cheesiest fucking zombie movies ever made. Yeah. Return of the Night of the Living Dead is one of the greatest zombie movies ever, and it's cheesy as fuck.
Absolutely.
But it has heart.
Right? It has heart. Lost Boys is kind of fucking cheesy, and I love it.
Reading maggots,
Fright
Michael.
Night. Fright Night. Again, kind of fucking cheesy.
All right.
I don't know what to tell you, folks. This is where we're at.
All right.
This movie, my feelings.
All right. Tim's feelings are hurt, and Josh is giddy and has a new favorite fucking movie that he's going to watch for a long time coming just because it pisses us off.
I love the fucking, he's going to put it on twice, and that second one's going to count for Adam's viewing.
Right?
Oh,
Perfect.
man. All right. With that, gentlemen, it's time to say goodbye. So, ladies and gentlemen, this episode, thank you very much for listening to it. It is available on all of the major podcasting platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, etc. Do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Find us out on Facebook, Misunderstood Art Company. Like and check out our live videos that we do on Monday nights when we talk about everything having to do with the horror verse and its current state of things. We're also on Patreon, by the way. Open up your hearts and your wallets and, help with content creation. And until next time, Tim.
Stay spooky and stay safe.
Josh.
Hey, Tim. 100 points if you boink at him.
Wow. Yeah, I think I'm worth more than that. Okay, fine, whatever. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. And until next time, see you later.
Good night.
Thank you.